Good morning and welcome. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK, and it is lovely to be with you on what is surprisingly, if you're joining me live, a Wednesday morning. So normally I'm here on a Monday morning, but life had other ideas this week, as often happens. So I thought I'd come and join you on a Wednesday. So if you are able to join me live, do pop on and say hello. Otherwise, hopefully you'll be able to watch later on catch up, but do equally pop on and say hello if you're joining at a later date. So without too much further ado, let me swap my camera over, and this is me, www.Love-a-Duckie.co.uk, and if you go hunting for me on any of the social media platforms, whether that is Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, where else are we? Instagram. I knew there was one I'd missed. Hopefully you'll find me under Love-a-Duckie. Good morning, Jackie. So lovely to have some of you with me here live. As I said, do pop on and say hello. Do share, like, follow, all of those things that we love you to do. Excuse my arm, just tucking that out of the way. Right. So this week, it has always been my intention, and we shall come back to this, hopefully it'll be on Friday, is to have a bit of a look at the Heart and Home Suite. Now this is quite a big, sort of a bit of a mega suite really, because you have got not one, but two bundles in this suite. You've got an embossing folder, ribbon, embellishments, doilies, 12 by 12 papers, and there are also some memory and more cards and some memory and more card blanks and envelopes. Now I don't have the memory and more things, not because I don't love them, but just because even I have to say, Helen, you can't have everything. And that has been one of the things that I haven't been able to have. But they are fabulous if you are looking to make quick and simple cards, if you are making up sort of pocket type memory keeping, or even on your bigger 12 by 12 scrapbook pages and things. They're fabulous for all of those things, just for sending little people cards in the post, because quite often they have really nice sort of greetings on them and sentiments. So they are really useful, and they are a lovely pack to have. It just, I haven't got one here physically to show you, but do check those out if you like memories and more card packs. As I say, in those envelopes, those cards and envelopes are really quite sweet. One is a blue stripe. I don't know if you can see that. The stripes are going a bit funky on the camera, but this is a blue and white stripe, as is the inside of this envelope here, and this is a wood grain effect, and you'll see quite a bit of wood grain effect going on in this suite. So let's have a bit of a closer look at the bundles. This first one is the Blessings of Home bundle, and as always we're going to get a nice glare, so let's do that. So this is two really big floral stamps, and they are lovely. They're really, really detailed stamps, gorgeous, and they just scream colour me in. So you've got this bigger one here and this slightly smaller posy just here. You've got all of these sentiments on there. Thank you for inspiring me. We can get through anything together. Lots and lots of lovely sentiments on there for all sorts of different cards and things. You're a real blessing to everyone around you. How gorgeous is that? And what a beautiful day for love. Have a perfect birthday. Yeah, do love those. So those are that's the Blessing of Home stamp set. So those two big floral images and these really nice sentiments. And then to go with that, you've got a set of dies, and the dies give you the big dies that are going to cut out those stamped images. But then they also give you these sort of smaller dies where you've got foliage and this sort of bough of flowers here, little flowers, lots of little bits that you can be adding in, or even just building up themselves, you know, in their own right, to create posies, and really useful for tucking little bits in besides projects on other cards where you're not using your Blessing of Home stamp set. So just a really useful little set of foliage and flower dies to be able to dip into, and there's a really pretty little set of 3 flowers here, so you'll be able to use those to build up some really nice poses in their own right without stamping at all. Quick slurp of water. The other stamp and die set in the bundle, let's do that, is the Honeybee Home set. And as you might suggest, as the stamp set might suggest, you do have a little smattering of honeybees there. You've got some more floral images, and this is a really lovely font. You've got a best of luck, miss you, so glad we're family, such happy news, you're the nicest. So some really nice sentiments there. And the dies that go with it, you've got dies to cut out all of those bees. You've got dies to cut out these stamped images. And you've got some dies on their own that are going to cut grasses and sort of floral stem just here. So a really lovely pair of bundles, if you can have a pair of bundles. Morning Glenda and morning Lisa. If there is such a thing as a pair of bundles, that is a very nice pair of bundles. Just pop those stamps there, move my water, hopefully not knock it flying. Now the colour palette in the designer series paper is sort of quite a muted palette of colours, but really quite pretty. You've got this basic grey, you've got a garden green, you've got a misty moonlight, a cinnamon cider, and then you've got the fresh freesia and the pale papaya. So that is your colour palette that are in the papers. Obviously, when you're playing with stamps and dies, you can use any colours you like. But if you're coordinating with the DSP, then those are the colours that you're going to find in it. And here is the DSP. So this is a sheet of each. This rather lovely paper here has got all these little bumblebees on. And you've got these sort of floral upside down. Let's turn them the right way round. Sort of tall floral pieces. Camera's not picking that up as well. There we are. That's a bit better. You've got a fresh freesia one here that has got all these little white flowers on. Got this rather nice night of navy and white patterned background, sort of almost like a tiled effect. Some more flowers in pale papaya and fresh freesia on that paper. And then you've got this garden green background piece just here. And then the reverse side of these papers are all sort of variations on a wood grain. And obviously these are really useful in their own right, but then you can ink them, emboss them, scrunch them, tear them, spritz them, do all sorts of things to them, as well as using them just as they are. So that is the papers. So we've had the colour cardstock, we've had the papers, and the embellishments and things that are with this suite is this lovely denim ribbon. Now we have seen this before. This is a returning product, but really lovely. It is always really useful for masculine type cards as well. You've got these classic matte dots. I do like these. I've obviously spritzed or something inked the back of mine, but you've got that sort of these black and grey and very vanilla and white dots. So really useful in those sort of very basic classic colours. So they are really useful to dip into. And the last thing in this suite is doilies. And you have some doilies in cinnamon cider, in basic grey, and in night of navy. But obviously if those are too dark for you, turn them over. You can use the white side, you can use it as it is, you can ink it up, spritz it, colour it in, do all sorts of things with it. So there's lots of scope there with those doilies. Just tuck them in here so they don't roll all over the place. And let's have a little look at what we're going to play with today. So I think my first card, I'm actually going to take a bit of shimmery white. I'm going to take this long strip, I think. And I'm going to concentrate on the Blessings of Home bundle. This morning we may bring in some bits from the other bundle, who knows, but this is going to be my focus. And I'm going to take this large floral image just here. It is just beautiful, and as you can see, it is a good sized stamp. One of those stamps on a card front, and you don't need much else. And I've seen some quite nice things done in sort of monochromatic, sort of just a bit of that, a bit of Misty Moonlight. That's stamped in Misty Moonlight and some Misty Moonlight paper, and not much else. And it's, yeah, they're quite lovely. But I'm going to take my big stamp, and I'm actually going to take some Stays On ink, because I'm going to do some watercolouring. Pop my lid off there. I always need to be aware when I am stamping on my table just here that I have a bit down the middle where the two halves of the table come together, so I need to avoid that where possible. I'm going to ink this up. As I say, it's a big stamp, so we'll give that lots of tapping and squidging. And a good press down all over. And you can see it's one of those stamps where you're not going to get a massively solid image. You've sort of got that shading, which is really rather beautiful. Sort of quite a softness about it. I'm actually going to repeat. Stamp and repeat. Because I thought this morning we'd do a little bit of good old-fashioned decoupage. So I only really need this top bit in this one, so I'm not worried too much about the bottom bit. So I've stamped that 3 times. I am going to do a bit of cutting and surgery in just a minute. I'm going to bring in my water painters, and we're going to stick to those colours that we've got. So Pale Papaya, Fresh Freesia, Misty Moonlight, Cinnamon Cider, Garden Green and Basic Grey. That is our colour palette. I think I'm going to start with some Fresh Freesia. Let's give that a squeeze. And so this first one, I'm going to paint it all. Let's come in. I'm going to have a Fresh Freesia large flower. And obviously, as I said, you don't have to stick to the colours in the paper. You could be doing these in bright, bold yellows and reds, all sorts of colours. Just really, really pretty. drag that out. Give that another squeeze. I need a bit more colour in that. Better. You can come back in, that's never a problem. You can add more colour. Much easier to add colour than it is to take it away. So let's add a bit more colour to these bottom ones where it really faded out. And I'm going to come back in and add a bit more colour again, just to this centre part where the artist has drawn these shade lines for us to point the way. Okay, so there's our little our little flower. I'm going to, actually I don't know why I worried so much with that one. That's not the one that's going to be on the top. In fact, let's just get a pencil and let's layer these. We're going to have this as layer number 1, layer number 2 and layer number 3. So I'm just going to actually put down a bit of colour on this just in case it peeks out from underneath the top layer. And then this layer number 3 is the one that I really want to concentrate on with this flower. Really want to make sure that we've got the colour that we want in there. Round we go. Add in some more colour. And just make sure that we've laid down our colour on all of those petals going round, and then we'll come back in and add in a bit more. Bringing that darkness out from the centre. And then let's just add in a bit more again, as I say, where those shading lines are in the middle there. Okay, so that's our little fresh freesia flower in the middle. Let's have a look at this now, and I think we've got all of these little flowers here, And then we've got this flower here, and I think that is a bud to that flower. So I think actually that flower I'm going to bring in a bit of cinnamon cider. We're going to make it sort of a rusty colour flower. And let's add some colouring up there. No, not normally on a Wednesday. It's been a not normally on a Wednesday sort of a week. But I thought we'll come in on a Wednesday instead. Couldn't do Monday. Let's do a Wednesday instead. And then this little flower here. I'm going to add in some cinnamon cider on that one. Let's come in again and add in slightly darker where those shades lines are. I think like life keeping us all on our toes is there. There we are. So there's our cinnamon cider one. Again, I've made a lot of fuss of that one and didn't need to particularly. But it does at least give me a guideline for where I'm going. This middle one, I'm just going to lay some colour down. So that's been like my practice one. And then we'll make the top one. Not necessarily perfect. We don't do perfect necessarily. I'll just lay a bit of colour down on that one. And then this one, we will give it a bit more attention. Because when we come to decoupage it, this is going to be on the top. As we look at the stamping, although this is the big flower in the middle, these overlap it. So if we're going to layer it up, we definitely need these to be in that decoupage as well, in that top layer. And there they've all got colour. Let's come in and add in a bit of shading. Okay. I'm just going to pick up this perhaps just add in a little bit more just there. Okay. So let's come back to this. Oh, this is a big pink flower just here as well. So I think this is going to be our base just here. I think we'll take sort of these flowers here and that flower there and these top bits as our second layer, and then just these as our top layer. So this is going to be our bottom layer. We need to do this. I hadn't picked up on that as being a fresh freesia flower as well. just going to grab something. Okay. Ooh, I'm back. Let's colour in this flower here. Sort of as you colour them in, that's when sort of different parts come to light a little bit. It was like, oh yes, that one is fresh freesia as well. That's the same shape flower sitting down there. But I'm not going to worry about colouring this on the other two layers because it's not going to appear at all on those layers. It's going to be cut off. Right. And then for these other flowers, these are going to be, let me put the lid on that so I don't dunk that in there. These are going to be pale papaya, I think, and I'm just going to add some colour to them. Not going to be too fussy because going to be covering those up just so that they've got a bit of colour. On that layer. And same with these. I'm going to add, I don't need to worry too much, we will with this one. Add some pale papaya to this one. And that centre. So this layer, these pale papaya flowers are going to be, this is the top layer that they're going to appear on. So let's make sure that we add plenty of colour to those there. Cut that out a bit. This little flower here. And this little flower here. You hear the sound of distant cymbals. I think the nursery over the road have got their instruments out. So we have a percussion playing, which is rather lovely. And then this flower up here. Sounds like they're playing the saucepan lids. Hi, Angie. We're safe from floods here. It's not been a very nice couple of days with the wind and the rains and all sorts of things. Although I do officially live on a floodplain. We've been here now nearly 25 years, 24, 25 years, and I have to say, touch wood, we haven't had any issues up to now. Let's add in a bit more colour just where that shading is. And let's add some pale papaya to the top of this flower just here. You didn't see me just do that. There we go. So that is all the colouring we need to do on that layer 3. Those are the bits that are coming out on top. In this layer, I need to do the centre of these flowers. And then I think that will be that layer. I think I'm going to come in with cinnamon cider for the centre of those. And then this one just here. So then we just need to come back and finish off this bottom piece. And we've got these little flowers just here. Let's just take a little bit of misty moonlight and we'll make those a bit bluey in colour. Perhaps just come in the centre with a bit of fresh freesia. And then we've got some garden green. I think actually I am going to do those leaves on this side in the garden green. And so as you colour it in, it's sort of almost like the picture starts to come to life. And you start to think, oh no, that one is sitting over the top of those, and so you need to cut that out as well. These ones here we won't. I'm going to do these ones here in the garden green. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a block something on which I can pick up a bit of garden green ink. And let's add in a bit of Misty Moonlight just to make a slightly different colour green. For these flowers here. And I'll take a bit more garden green on here, and I think I'm going to go in with a pale papaya, so we'll make a slightly yellower green. And that can be all these ones up here. So we've just used the basic garden green, but we've added some different tones in just to get some different colours coming through. I'm just going to squeeze that out, and do we need anything else? No, I think that is it. We shall find out when we come to build it together. Hi Jane. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to die cut this one. I'm going to dissect the others with my scissors. Let's take this die, line that up. And we will run that through and sheave. Ouch, just dropping things on my foot. There we are. So there's that one watercoloured piece. Let's get our scissors. Oh, I know what we wanted to do. I wanted to add a bit more green to these leaves just here, didn't I? Let me do that now before I start cutting it out. So it was these ones just here. And this one. They look as if they're sitting over the top of that. Leaf just there. Right. So I'm going to cut round here. Now, in an ideal world, you might wait until this is absolutely dry before you start cutting it out. This card is still a little bit damp. Just chop across there, take that piece off. And around here. And we come. "3D decoupage" like this was something that I did a lot of, not necessarily stamping it myself, and pop out 3D decoupage, cut out 3D decoupage when I first started card making many moons ago. Just spend hours in front of the telly fussy cutting things. And we come. Nearly back to where we started. Maybe that we need to go in and do a bit of adding in a touch more colour in places. We will see, but that is going to come over the top of there like that. And then last but not least, we are just going to take these top flowers round we come. Nearly back to where we started. That top piece just there. Pretty pretty. So now we need to bring in our foam pads. I've got some big ones and small ones here. Now this has obviously been watercoloured. I'm going to give it a bit of a curve, a bit of a straighten out. I'm going to do the same with these, just curve them slightly. Just bring them to life. Right, let's have a look. Bring that one down there. Let's take the backs off these foam pads. And line that up. And we'll take this one. It's lovely to go back to some old favourite techniques sometimes, isn't it? Angie still does the stitching cards and loves our Stampin' Up card stock. So there we are. We have got beautifully 3D decoupage arrangement of flowers just there. Now, I was actually going to do 2 cards, but I've looked how long it's taken me to paint all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine the 2 cards that I was going to make. And so we're going to put that to one side, and we're going to have a go at a Faux Centre Stepper panel card. Now, I made one of these as a one of the projects at the weekend, and the daffodil and daffodil and rainbow class that I did, but that was obviously using daffodils. But we're going to repeat that same basic card base to create one with this suite. So I've got a piece of the Fresh Freesia cardstock there, and I'm going to cut it at 10.5. And as always, when I come round to doing a blog post with this, I will put the imperial measurements up as well. And I'm going to cut this at 24 centimetres. So 10.5 by 24. Take that little bit off, and then we're going to score it at 3 centimetres, 6 centimetres, and 15 centimetres. And once we've done that, this 2 front folds just here will fold up. Is the bone folder in there? Yes, it is. Coming out. Fold that up. The costume there, and then this one is going to come back. So that's going to create the standy up bit of your card. And I'll come back to that in a minute and decorate it. And then the piece in the centre, we're going to need it to be 22.5 centimetres long, 6.5 centimetres wide. I've got a couple of oddments just there. I'm going to score it at 14.9. That's going to be a fairly familiar measurement for you. And then this bit here is just going to fold like that, and what will happen eventually is that will stick there. It will stick to the back of your card on there, and that will form your faux centre stepper. And then I think we'll have this bit adorning the front of our card just there. So let's choose some papers to go on here. So I think yeah, I quite like that, I think, for this front bit. So let's cut that to 6 centimetres by 14.4. And then have that underneath there like that. And then we need some papers for this bit and this bit. So we could stick with our the colour will come to me in a minute. We could stick with the pale papaya. We could have a floral paper behind there. I think that's going to be too busy. We could have the bees. I think that's going to be too dark. I think I'm going to stick to this pale papaya colour. So we need a piece that is 10 centimetres by 8.5. To come behind here. And then this front piece, I don't know how big that is. Might be about right. We want 2 centimetres, or actually 2.5. Probably not quite wide enough. Let's just grab another little piece, and we'll have a piece that is 2.5 centimetres by 10. And that can come in the front here. Fresh freesia. What did I say? I dread to think. If I had a brain at all, I might be dangerous. Right, I'm going to stick this on here. This one on here. Slightly better, although now that's looking a little wonky. We'll stick this one on here. And then we'll take this long strip, and we're going to put some Tombow on there and on the top there. Or you could use tear and tape, or whatever works for you, and eyeball that and make that central on that front piece. Fold it over and stick it down well to that back piece. And then you have a card that opens up like this, without all of that sort of scoring and cutting that you often have to do with centre stepper cards. And then we've got this panel that's going to come down here. That's rather beautiful, isn't it? So now we need to decide on our greeting. Have a perfect birthday. What a beautiful day for love. It'd be quite nice if you were going to make that into a wedding card or something. You're a real blessing to everyone around you. That would be really lovely if you were going to make it into a home decor piece, wasn't it? Thank you for inspiring me. I'd quite like to have a perfect birthday sentiment. I feel that might well be a birthday card for somebody. Perhaps we'll go in with, let's go garden green. I think it needs to be a slightly darker colour for the sentiment than the fresh freesia. to chop off have a, I think we'll have Perfect Birthday down here. I'm going to stick those onto a little bit of fresh freesia. Beautiful. Now, I don't think that the denim ribbon is going to be quite right with this card. But I have got some of the fresh freesia open weave ribbon here. Which will probably work a little better. Where would we like it to go? I think I might just yes, let's bring in some. Can you hear my brain ticking? There's my tear and tape. Let's just wrap that around the back of there. You need to tidy this up if you feel that that's not very pretty. You could just cut a strip of fresh freesia card to cover up the adhesive down there. Not my ribbon scissors, can you tell? Right, let's stick these bits in place. Have some mini dimensionals here. To stick that so it's sort of slightly over the ribbon and slightly not. Let's try that once more with feeling, shall we? Let's tie a little bow. Tweaking it till we're happy with it. I'll bring in my ribbon scissors this time. The glue dot. Let's just grab some of these little classic matte dots. We'll go with the white ones. Let's have one up there. And a couple of the smaller ones down here. So there we go. So we could put a strip of fresh fuchsia under there to cover that. Pop a bit of basic white inside for you to write on. And there you have a faux centre stepper card with a decoupaged topper. So that's a really fancy pants card for somebody that you like a lot, I think, because that's taken quite a little while, but it's really quite pretty. Quite pleased with that one. So thank you for joining me on this Wednesday morning. All being well, we'll be back again on Friday, and we'll concentrate a bit more on the honeybees on Friday. So do come back and join me then. Do everybody take care of yourself in the meantime. Yeah, have a lovely couple of days before I see you again.